Hi guys, Happy New Year and welcome to the studio and welcome to this year's Dephemerember-ary series. Okay, so this is my take on Dephemerember by Luise, Heinzl and Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. I did this last year. Dephemerember is the challenge really that they do in December, and of course it's about creating ephemera in December, hence the Dephemerember name that Luise coined. I've added the ary on the end of mine because I will be doing the Dephemerember prompts throughout January and February to give me just that little bit extra time to not catch up, because I'm doing it randomly as you'll notice when we get into it, but just to catch up because December's a busy month. And yeah, so this was last year's, seems so strange saying that, last year, Dephemerember 2025. Yeah, so I mean it is the 5th. Clever, I've just tied it in a knot trying to open it. Yeah, today is the 5th of January 2026. Wow. And yes, so Happy New Year guys, and this is my first video of 2026 as well, so yeah, kicking off in style. Okay, so a quick recap for any of you who didn't follow along last year. As I said, this was just my take on Dephemerember from Luise and Barbara, and here I just made this paper bag journal. This will be in my Dephemerember-ary playlist, so go and check that out guys. Yeah, so I added from 2021, 2022, 2023 and 2024, and that one was a little bit small for my eyes to read even with glasses on, so I printed it larger scale there, and I added a little pocket there that I was putting these little things into to add to the makes. Now I started off going through the list in order, and then I thought I'm never gonna, like, in a way catch up. I'm never going to catch up if I do it like that. So what I then started doing were I did it random generator style. So I put in the random number generator 1 to 31, you know, so day 1 through to 31, although in 21 and 22 they only did up to to Christmas Day, to day 25. 2023 they did up to the 28th, and 2024 they did do up to the 31st, but there was a few days in between they didn't do. This year they've done last year should I say, they did the same. 25 they did up to the 31st, but there were a few breaks in between. So all I did were, it was like, right, use the random generator to pick number 1 to 35. Okay, so let's take this one for example. It picked number 18. Okay, so then we write down number 18, not a prompt, just the number. And then there was last year when I was doing this 4 years, so 2021, 2022, 23, 24. So I just then put it back in as 1 to 4, and then it picked out obviously number 1, which then correlated to the 18th on the 18th and the year number 2021. Even I'm getting confused now guys. And then we used that prompt, which was snow and tea card. So we did this, and we got a tea card under there and snow. And yeah, and then I just carried that theme on throughout the rest of my like playtime through Dephemerember-ary. So I'm going to do that again this year, and last year's prompt is gonna go on there, I think. I mean, I could cover that up, couldn't I, really? Or, I mean, I could just put it there. We don't really need that pocket. But that pocket has come in handy. So, cut a bit off there and add it to that. No, I think I just want to add it on there actually, so we'll just put it on the back end of this page. Okay, so for that I will use my glue gun. Oops. Now I should have actually kind of warmed my glues up before doing this, because it is -7 degrees here today, guys. -7. Alright guys, so that's glued in. I have my random number generator here, so I am going to put in minimum of 1 and a maximum of 31. And then we're going to generate. So we have number 5. And then we're going to put 5 in there, so a minimum of 1. And a maximum of 5, so that's 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 25. You know, you get the gist. Let's generate. Oh, and we have 2025. So, this prompt will be prompt number 5 on year 2025, and it will be journaling card and tiny letters. Journaling card and tiny letters. Awesome. Now, Luise and Barbara did compartmental making this year for the Dephemerember. I keep saying this year, I'm so sorry guys. So anyway, Barbara and Luise for 2025 with this set of prompts did compartmental making. I'm not going to be doing that because I just want to make whatever the prompt is and put it into this journal. If I want to do any of the compartmental making side of things and other things besides, then I'll just come back and do that. Wow. Sorry guys. Hi guys, I'm back. It is now the 6th of January. Oh my goodness, let's try this again. Alright, so I'm going to stick with this one because we just never got it done. Way too many distractions yesterday. Okay, so we got prompt number 5 from 2025. So the prompt is journaling card and tiny letters. Okay, so that can go to one side because that is the journal. We don't need that until we come to decide what to put in it. Prompt can stand over there out of the way. Alrighty, so we have some freebies here from Barbara and Luise, which came from the 2025 Dephemerember. So yeah, there's quite a few on Luise's website, and there's a few on Barbara's Ko-fi site. I don't think Barbara did anything for the tiny letters journal card. She might have done. Some of these you could use as a journal card. There are numbers there, but that's number labels, so that's a different prompt. Obviously you don't have to use freebies, you can do your own. But just to show you guys, there we go. Luise did these, I think, was for the small the tiny letters and journal cards. So that's cute. You've got the option to just cut those out and use those if you don't want to make your own, but I'm going to make my own. So I'm not going to go through these all the time in every video or anything, but they are just going to be here to the side of me for, you know, a bit of potentially inspiration and just a little bit of help along the way if we get stuck. Okay, so I have decided that I want to make my own journal cards. So I have here a diagram of my studio. Wow, when's that from? That's from a while ago. Okay. That's not how it is now. I think that's how I wanted it to be, and then I ended up as being something different. Okay, so we will get out the paper trimmers. I love this little one. I've usually always got that to hand. Okay, so we just have a normal sheet of A4 paper here, which is pretty much 11.5. So we're going to do, what's a good size journaling card? Maybe 4, 3.5. Let's do 3.25. That's more tag size, isn't it, actually? 4.25. Let's do 4.25. That will then leave us probably a tag size left over. Yeah, nice strip there for a tag. Okay, so 4.25 by what, 6, 3, 4, 3.5. Depends how big you want your journal cards, doesn't it? Well, Luise and Barbara was doing compartmental making, which I said I wasn't going to do, but let's do this, because if we do it like this, then we can do a few at a time, especially for the technique that I'm going to do. Alright, so we have 4 cards, and let's not forget this, because we'll turn this into a tag. Let's chop this down to, so what tag size? About, let's go, what is the width of this? 8.25. So that would be 4 1/16. Alright, so we'll just do 2 smaller journaling cards then. Alright, so we've got 6 here. Okay, so I'm going to get my medium mat out. This big one here, because I'm going to do some ink smooshing. So let's pop this down, cover the mat. You can do it directly onto the craft mat, that's not a problem, but I like working with this. Okay, as you can see, it's a little bit coloured because I've already been playing with it. And I got these results, which are just gorgeous, especially these, which is what we're going to do. So I have those, I have those, and I have those. So we're going to work with these, because I really love that colour scheme. And for that, I used picked raspberry, spun sugar, and I used Mermaid Lagoon, and I used broken china. But then I also forgot that I actually have faded jeans as well, and worn lipstick. So I'm going to add those into the mix today. For this we need a spray. I've got my Tim Holtz water distresser spray, because I use this more for the like drippy bits like that instead of the actual spray. I have it locked. If you unlock it, it does a normal spray. If you kind of flick the button to lock it, it'll only go so far and you get the drippy bits. And then I have a mister where I just spray, like proper spray. So this is, sorry, watercolour cardstock, I think. See, there was no name on it, a brand or anything, but it is watercolour cardstock, but I'm not sure what thickness it is or anything like that. However, sometimes, a lot of the times, I will use this, which is Brunel Franklin, and it is 160 GSM, artist sketch paper. It's good for watercolour as well as that. So this to me is probably around the same thickness, 120, 160 GSM maybe. Okay, so for these I'm going to use the dark and the lights together. It's not particularly dark. Well, the pink's dark and that's light, so we'll use those together like that. These were a result of all four of those colours mixed together. Love that. But I don't think I want it so intense today. Okay, I also have my Heat It craft tool, which needs turning on down here. Nope, wrong button. I always get the wrong button. And now my chair's rolling away. Good stuff. That's the one. And in fact, I will turn the other one on actually, because that is for the heat gun. This one. Yep. Which sometimes is good to use because it blows things around. However, I'm also going to bring in my Tim Holtz puffer thing. I can't remember what it's called. I've not got the packaging for it anymore and I can't remember what it's called now, but it is just an air puffer thing. For like, it's used a lot with alcohol inks, but it does the same thing. Okay, so let's get started, guys. I think this video is going to be a bit of a long one. Right, so let's get started. So we're going to just put picked raspberry and broken china. And we're going to give them a bit of a spray. And rub it like so. You do not have to wet the cardstock. What have I got? I've got 6, haven't I? So let's do 2 of each colour scheme. Yeah, you don't have to wet the cardstock. Is it in focus? Yeah. You can just go in, smush, and dry between. So just dry your layers between. They don't have to be perfectly dry, but you know, wet on wet layers. No, wet on wet blends, dry on dry layers. Okay, so that is not perfectly dry, but I'm going to go back in with some more. And as you can see, it's mixing together and creating a really pretty purple colour, which is also where you could bring in wilted violet or whichever other colour purple you have. That's the only one I have in purple in the pads. And of course I'm using oxides. I actually don't tend to have very many inks. They are predominantly oxides that I play with because I love the pastel tones and I love the way, you know, the oxidization works. Let's get some of that purple in there, seeing as how we've made it. So yeah, I love the way it oxidizes. I love the I love the pastel tones, the creamy tones that you get from oxides. So yeah, I have quite a lot of oxide inks rather than actual inks. Okay, so we're just going to do that with that one, and then this one, we'll come back to this in a minute. This one I'm actually going to spray from a distance, and then what's left I'm going to kind of scoop up, which will look a mess. So almost kind of use this as a mop up and get it right in. As I said, it will look a bit of a mess at the minute. Layer it dry. Again, doesn't have to be thoroughly dried. And then we're going to go in again with a little bit more of the same colours. On this one. Okay, so we have like a nice background already, and now we're going to go back in with the raw colour. And here, while this is drying, is where you can use the little blower to blow around some of that. You can spray whilst drying it and get the colour to move. This one's not a very good example, but yeah. So, and then again we can mop up some extra there. Let's get some of that purple that we've created. The secondary ones don't always look as good as the first ones, but it depends how you do them. And always dry between layers, like I said, otherwise you're just going to get more blending rather than layering, colours layering like that. Then what I like to do is, when they are dry, is then use the Tim Holtz sprayer over the top. You get little beads of water on there. It's not really going to matter for this one, but it will look nice on this one. Then get some tissue and roll that over it, and can you see then that's where these little like white spots come in a bit more. Leave it a few seconds. You can always almost like try help it along a little bit with the heat tool, and then roll paper over it. Let's do a bit more up here. Okay, roll off. Oh, I love it. And then give it a dry. And while that's drying, and this one's still a little bit wet, let's pick up some of the excess bits of ink around. So this first one is like the first one we're going to use. The secondary one is more of a mop-up print. Okay, give it a quick blast on the back. Alright, and then we're going to put them to one side to dry. They are quite hot to touch, so they will carry on drying whilst we are busy with the next lot. And then what we will do is, although they are the same colour tones, I'm just going to spray the mat and wipe those off, because I don't want it already making another colour before I want it to with the next batch. batch. Okay, so we've done those. So this one we're going to use Mermaid Lagoon and Sponge Sugar. This is a very pale one, so I usually put a couple of blobs on. Let's get the next 2 lots of cardstock. I seem to have lost some. Oh no, they're under there. Again, same thing. Spray it with water so it beads up. And you can use this to blow it around a little bit. So, as I said the first time, you don't need to wet them. But if you don't, you will get a very intense colour. And like I said, you can use the blower. That pink might not work with this coloured blue because it's a very pale pink. So maybe we need to do the layering, and let's just get some of that off the edges because I don't want a defined line on the edge. Okay, so let's just dry that. This is what I really love about oxide inks as well. They always dry a little bit lighter than what they look when you first use them. The sponge sugar has almost disappeared into this here, so I'm going to just spritz this with some bits, and we'll pick up this, what's left of the Mermaid Lagoon. Alright guys, so these are the ones that we have so far. So these 2 here were done with Picked Raspberry and Broken China. These 2 were done with Mermaid Lagoon and Worn Lipstick. We didn't get successful results with the Sponge Sugar because it was too light. Although, like I said yesterday, it was creating these beautiful pinks here. Oh, actually, no, sorry, that was the Picked Raspberry. Yeah, the Sponge Sugar was the very pale side of it. Yeah, so that is those. Again, let's move them over there. We're going to do some ink smushing again, but we're going to do it a bit differently. I'm going to use a handmade ink smusher. It is so simple to do, guys. Literally, I've made a few. I got this idea from Natalie Bowers over at NB Cards. I will link to her in the description. Yeah, so all it is, she uses paper towels, bundles them up. All mine is just a microfiber cloth, and it's in some cellophane packaging. Then I've got 2 of the foam blender pads together there just to give it a bit of depth so that you can squish, and again in a bit of cellophane, twisted and wrapped with a band. And then this was just a quirky idea that I had. This is ball chain from when I used to make jewellery. There's several lots of necklaces in there, just loose in there, and again wrapped up in a, this is actually a sandwich bag. What have I done with it? Where did I put it? I can't find it. Oh, it's here. Yeah, so just like a plastic sandwich bag. Yeah, so again, it's a bit soft, and of course it's squishy because it's balls. You could use bubble wrap instead of a plastic bag, you could do it with a bubble wrap and literally just kind of put it round loosely, tie it with a band or sellotape or whatever, and we're going to smush with these. And this time we're going to use Faded Jeans and we're going to try Spun Sugar, but we're going to do the Spun Sugar first because it is the lighter colour. So yeah, really you should always, well, I don't know about always, but you should start with the lighter colours because they're not necessarily going to show up on the darker ones. And this is a very pale colour anyway, so we're going to add a bit more of it. Going to bead it up like so. Don't actually really need to do anything else now to it because we're going to just smush it on. So I'm going to start with this one because this is a good one to do. So you literally just kind of rub it round, smush it up. Can you see? Now it's done its own thing on there because it's plastic wrap. And then just gonna smush. Now again, like I said, it's not going to be very visible probably on here because it's a very pale colour. So this is where you kind of layer up. So obviously, as I said, wet on wet blends, dry on dry layers. So, and the same goes for the same colours that you're using as well. So if we give this a dry and then do it again, it'll be a little bit darker. Try not to burn your fingers in the process. Okay, we'll just pop that to one side. It's not going to dry out. Okay, so whilst this is nearly dry, I'm just going to carry on doing this, but I'm going to alternate between the different little smushy tools, like smushers, but I will just speed this up for you guys because it's practically the same technique, like same process as the others. Alright guys, so we're back. We've done all the ink smushing and our journal cards are ready to go to the next process, next step. Right, so let's get the cards back out and we're going to kind of like maybe one of each. Let's see. So I think on this one, and this one, I want to put, no, let's do that one, that one, and that one. We're going to do some letter stenciling on it, and these are kind of in all directions, backwards, frontwards, so it doesn't really matter which way they go. And I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use Dusty Concord, which is a really nice purple. I think that'll look really nice on it, but let's see first. Is it? yeah, that is going to look quite nice on there. Okay, so let's just do a little bit on there, and I'm not going too heavy-handed either. Just want a little subtleness in the background, and also to kind of knock back the background, because I want it to be in the background. Okay, what's we got? Oh yes, I really like that. Maybe could have gone a bit darker with that one. Okay, so let's do it a little bit darker on this one. Yes, that's lovely. Okay, so just a little bit darker on this one, because obviously I still want the background showing, but I want it to be a background. So yes, that I love. A little bit darker. I think it's showing up a bit darker in the camera than it is. So this actually now has quite a bit of ink on it, so I'm just going to use what's on the stencil. So yeah, very, very subtle. Nice. Not adding any extra, just using what's on the brush and what bits on the stencil to just push into the background. Oh, beautiful. Alrighty. So that is that, and what have I just used? I've used the wrong brush. Are you kidding me? I've used picked raspberry. The Dusty Concord brush is still... Oh no, I've used aged mahogany. Okay, which is the one underneath Dusty Concord. Alright, never mind. Honestly. Right, so we'll put that to one side. And let's wipe up this, which is easily done with a bit of water. But yeah, so that one is quite light, which is good, and those two are quite dark. Not as dark as what you're seeing in the camera, well, as what I'm seeing in the camera, but yeah, a little bit darker. I love that one. Okay, so these ones, I think we will use these, this one and this one, to just add some, yeah, just add some text in the background. So I need a stamping block. That's too small. That's also a bit small, but I'm not bothered about that, to be honest. That, yeah. Which way up is it? It's the only problem with this one. I never know which way up it is. That way. Okay. This one won't go on a stamping block, so I'm just gonna do that with it. And for this, I think we will use some what to use. I think we'll use some vintage photo. So just that up, and ooh, that's nice. Like that. Add a bit there like that. That is nice. Alright. In fact, let's use a couple of different ones for these. So vintage photo. I wonder if iced spruce would work. Let's see, because this is a very, very pale colour. So I think this one would work better on here. Oh, wow! Oh, I love that. Oh, and I did get it the right way up after all. That is gorgeous. Look at that, guys. Beautiful. Okay. Gorgeous. Love it. So, this one, I'm going to again use the iced spruce because that is just gorgeous. That was very unexpected. And I think we'll do it this way on this one. Oh wow, yeah, gorgeous. Yes, and let's have a bit in the background on here as well, so that there's kind of text everywhere on that. Love that. Alrighty then. Let's just stamp off the excess on there. And that. Alright. I'll pop them over there to the side. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look where I want this one to kind of specifically be in the journal. I know it's a journal card, so it could go anywhere, but do I have a pocket that I could maybe tuck it into? So that one would work. I'm loving these, I like them. So, or do we create a pocket? On there. Don't think there are pockets in this journal. Yeah, I don't think I made pockets really. That would be nice on there. So would that. Oh, this one is my favourite. Oh, I think that's got to go in the journal. I love that. That's a pocket, but I don't want to put it in there. On there. Oh, that's nice. Sorry guys, I need to be a bit further up, don't I? Okay. Oh. No. Right, so I'm going to have to create a pocket, so without looking, I'm going to just, let's try again, and there. Alrighty then, so it can either go on that one there, which would go really nice with that. Yes, I'm going to say that page there, or that page there, or on there, but there would be lovely. Alrighty, so then in that case, I think I want a bit of this in the background. So again, we'll come back in with the stencil and the brush, the wrong brush, but we'll just use whatever's on the brush and the stencil to create subtle background, like so. So, I mean, we could literally call that done. I'm just going to give that a little blast with the heat tool because it's still, some of the oxide's a bit wet on it. But yeah, so we could actually really call that done because it's a journaling card and it's got tiny text on it, but I want to kind of embellish it a little bit. Okay, but for now I'm going to call those done. And we're just going to work on this one. The fiddly bit there that hasn't dried. Okay, we're done. Let's just... Okay. So, I think also what we could do is... No, I'll create a pocket to put on... I know. Pocket idea, I know. Okay. So... yeah, this I'm going to use my punch, and I'm going to use this one. It's a decorative punch, and I'm just going to use this edge on it, as it's a journal card, just to give it some fancy edges. Also makes it a little bit smaller that way, so it fits in the pocket, excuse me, better. Righty, so journal card and tiny writing. So this is tiny writing also. Can I make this? Yes, I can make this into an envelope. Okay, so we can just put that there like that, and then fold that down there like that, and we have an envelope that we can use as a pocket. Okay, going to, oops, round the corners, including these ones here. Okay, so there we have, yep, an envelope with tiny letters on. That's not very straight, but it's okay. Okay, so let's glue that together. Just needs to be down this edge here and this edge here. Like so. And then going to glue down these edges as well to glue it on as a pocket. So down that edge, down this bottom edge here, and up here, and hope, yes, there should still be room for that to go in. Okay, there we go. So again, yeah, it will go in there when it's dry. Alright, so let's embellish this a little bit. How do I want to do that? I kind of don't think I want to use them stamps now. I kind of think I want to use these, but I'm not sure. Make some kind of collage maybe. Yeah, too low down on her. Okay, so that one there, maybe that one there. This is something I'm going to be working on in 2026, is collage, because, not collage so much, but clusters, because I am useless, absolutely hopeless when it comes to doing a cluster. And I don't know why, because it's basically collage. And I'm not too bad on collaging. I did kind of work at that a few years ago. I just kind of want a little bit down here in this corner. And yeah, it's going to be very random, but you know, that's kind of what we want. So kind of a little cluster there with some tiny text on it, tiny letters. Right, before I go any further, I actually quite like that, so I'm going to just very quickly pop a tiny staple through there, and then I can maybe add a bit extra to it. Let's glue that on, because I quite like that placement. I'm not going to ink. Oops. Normally I'd ink around the edges, but I'm not going to with this one. So let's there's a little bit of a blankish space here, so let's put it down here in this corner, like so. Let's glue that bit down as well, just a bit, and there. Okay, so that's cool. I don't need to make a tag for this one like I did with the others. I can just write it on the back. What else have we got that might go nice on there? Well, that adds a nice bit of colour to it, doesn't it? Have we got some pinky purple we can use? Hydrangea. What about this one? Yes, let's do that. Alright, so that bit there, the hydrangea label somewhere along there, and then this one there, something like that anyway. Oops. Kind of messed that up a bit there. Ooh, I wanted it a bit further up there, like that. Okay, so yeah, that will do. Right, so maybe what about a stamp? Where is the other one? There, this one. So tiny. Well, we've got all the tiny text, so we don't really need to do that, but here there is like a tiny leaf. There is a tiny butterfly. Let's do that. Okay, so there's a tiny leaf there. Let's use my favourite black soot. This is ink, not oxide. I did have it in archival, but it's dried up and I can't seem to get hold of it in archival without buying a set, which I don't really want because I have the set. Like the small, oh beautiful, like the small ones. I already have the set. It's just the black soot archival. Love that. It's just the black soot archival that I've run out of. Yeah, I don't need the other ones, which is like the what is it? My brain's gone completely. I really can't think now what it is. Let's do butterfly. Kind of flying or fluttering away. Oh, that is so cute. We need to do another one there like that. There we go, working in odd numbers. What are the other ones? It is oh yeah, Vintage Photo. Walnut Stain, that's the one, and the other one is the Ground Espresso. Honestly, my brain just completely went then. But I don't need them because I've got them. It's just the black soot archival that I want because I use that more than anything. I love this colour for stamping. And obviously for being archival because then it doesn't activate with water and other mediums. But yeah, so I can't get it as a single ink pad, well, archival ink pad. I've got to get it in a set of 4 little ones, and it's frustrating, especially when you see other YouTubers using it as this size of a pad or the big pads like these, and it's like, I want one of them. Right, so I really love that, and again, like I said, now that is dry, we might need to take a little bit off there. So let's get a little bone folder and let's just see if we can make that side a bit bigger to put it in, and then we don't have to cut it. There we go. Nice. Alright, so we have a journal card with tiny text, tiny letters. There we go, some tiny letters there, and of course it's got some butterflies and stuff on, and then we have an envelope here with tiny letters on, and then we have this, which I'm going to cut down to make a tiny letter. And this one we will ink around with potting soil archival. I'm going to leave it torn at the top because I want it to look a bit used and rustic. Not being precious when inking around, as you can see. So, oopsie daisy, we'll put some tape on that. Okay, let's cut it a bit there as well, and a little bit there, like so. Cool. Right, so we need a bit of tape on there. Let's find some washi tape. Okay, so I have some washi tape here, which is white with a bit of gold leaf. Not gold leaf, but gold leaves on it. So let's... I know it's not see-through, but let's... Actually, it is a little bit. So let's just kind of try and fix it with that. And then we'll go over it with this to make it look more aged. You can still see the writing through it. Just cut that little bit off because it's not going to fold. There we go. Okie dokie. And there we have a little letter. So we're just going to fold the little letter in half. And we're going to put the little letter inside the little envelope. A tiny letter inside the tiny envelope. Okay, it's just a bit of rusty ink on here, not rusty, potting soil ink on there, and there we go. Although I'm gonna just fold that down there a bit actually, because then you can see that there is a letter in there to pull out. So I'm gonna actually just tack that down so it doesn't lift. A bit more potting soil, just a bit, and yeah, we'll go over that there. Okay, and over this here, and I suppose we'd better do it on the back, aren't we? Otherwise it's not going to look right. A bit more gentle on the back. I don't want to rip it any more than it already is. Don't mind the little dot bits there because it looks like mucky fingerprints over the years. Okay, cool. Let's just do a few little blotches on this again. Make it look like mucky fingerprints have been playing with it, been reading it. Alrighty, so I'm going to pop that in there so you can see it when you lift the flap up, and that shows you, oh, there's something in there, let's have a look. Okay, so, and I'm just going to leave that flap because it's neither here nor there. Alrighty, and then we're going to write on the back of here, like we did with all the others. Going to write prompt number 5, was it? Indeed it was. Prompt number 5 from the year 2025, and it was journaling card and tiny letters. Okay. Oh, I've written it upside down. Never mind. It's on there. Yeah, what a dope. Writ it upside down. Never mind. Okay, so we have some lettering in the background. We've got a tiny letter, which is what my mind immediately went to when I saw the prompt on both Barbara and Luise's videos. Yeah, and neither of them did it. They just did the tiny lettering side of things, and it was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, because that's the main, like, obvious thing to do, but for some reason my mind went down the route of creating tiny letters, like a letter to someone. So that was my idea, and then there's just the simplified journal card with tiny lettering and a little cluster there with letters on, and then I love that stamping, and an upside down prompt. So cool beans. There we are, guys, that's that one complete. And yeah, I'm loving that. That is pretty cool. Okay, guys, so finally that is a video. Wow, quite a long one as well. Alright, so I will be back in the next day or two with another video, another Dephemerember-ary video, and yeah, hopefully it won't be as disruptive and long as this one. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching, and one of you. Yeah, so this was it. Oh, of course, yeah, turn the page, that's what I was doing. So we have day 5 on 2025, which is, yeah, I did do it at that side, which is journaling card and tiny letters. Okay, so where were it? There. Alrighty, guys, coolio. Quite pleased with that little cluster there, and I'm really pleased with how that turned out. Anywho, I'm going. Right, guys, so thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you all again in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.